Welcome back, everybody. It's Rudy with Beta Investments. So we just closed on a very nice sized transaction. Sitting here talking to you guys now, almost $20,000 less in money. And I want to kind of go over a few things with this story and this transaction, some things that I've been noticing that's been making a lot of interesting stories lately. And I think that is... Let's talk about the reserve list with some of these cards, because first we're going to share the story, and I'm going to tell you guys kind of what's going on. There's been some people have been very surprised because these buy lists and these prices have been actually declining. There's been a lot of fluctuation in the prices. A lot of them were jumped up. Now they've been moved. They're changing almost every day at this point. And it's making a lot of buyers and sellers a little nervous. On top of that, a very honest thing I have to tell everybody is, if you look at the Card Castles, Star Cities, the Snowballs, and all these companies at this current point in time, as of the filming of this video, are holding a larger amount of old ABU, Four Horsemen set reserve list cards than I've seen in probably at least over a year. Almost every large store nationwide seems to be pretty, loaded up on these prices, on these cards. And I don't think it's a situation where everybody's selling now or everybody's buying. I think it's a situation that once they're getting this inventory from people buy listing and selling their collections, I don't think people are paying the higher prices. It feels like the velocity, the speed at which the cards are moving around has been declining. So we're going to go over some of the cards and what's going on with that. First, I want to share the story with everybody because this is a gentleman. We just closed this transaction. Really cool story. I love the stories and the history of the cards. And of course, I like to share with you all so you can kind of understand where Magic came from and what it actually used to represent versus today's 2018, where there's just no depth to the culture anymore. Rudy, I used to work at a local computer retailer store back in the 90s. This is where I met my wife. I did tech support. She sold games, and we used to run into each other in the smoke break room, talk about games, and we got to be friends. Did you fool around with her in the break room? Anyways, and it was actually her that this woman introduced me to Magic the Gathering. You heard it here, folks. My 3.01614 repeating decibel pi diameter of the radius number of women. She let me borrow some cards, and we would play at work during lunch break. And occasionally we would meet after work to play more Magic. How fucking amazing is that, everybody? She kept buying the old Magic cards in the 90s. I started buying cards, and one day I ran to the collector's edition box set at a local gaming store and figured, what the heck? It's only $50. Might as well pick one up. Is there a price tag? There's no. It's only $50. God, set me back flipping fortunes. Anyways, never got around to actually opening it. Congratulations on the $7,000 windfall. I figured I'd hold on to it for a couple years while I was still playing. I'd open it, but guess what? I never opened it. Friendship and gaming turned into dating. Dating turned into marriage. And this year we celebrate our 22nd year marriage anniversary. That's a long time. I'm impressed. That's not very common nowadays, everybody. So our collections combined sat dormant for 20 years. Never got around to playing Magic again. We talked about selling several times over the last 5 years. Never got around to do it. We have kids that are 14 and 17 years old. And our youngest has been fencing, swordplay everybody, for 8 years. This year, she as a fencer, that's pretty rare, that's pretty cool. I lost it, hold on. She is qualified to represent the Team USA overseas internationally. We're planning our first tournament in Germany. So, long story short, everybody, the Team USA doesn't fund athletes to travel overseas. So I'm selling the Magic cards. So again, first thing, this is another story where real life turns out to be more important than, obviously, Magic cards and cardboard. It also is a textbook story of what these old cards represent. They're very historical. They represent an era and a system that doesn't exist anymore. They represent friendships and this really deep history that you don't see anymore. There is no deep culture in local game stores. You don't feel that. You don't see that going to a GP. When I went to GP Vegas in 2018, you don't feel that. It even felt different from 2017. You went to go to GP Orlando. The people, the culture is just not the same. People don't have the loyalty to the new Magic cards. They don't connect like they used to. They get into it, they excited, and they walk away. Wizards isn't doing a good job to really get people addicted. So, I want to share these cards I'm looking at with everybody in the Collector's Edition set, and I want to talk to you guys about what's going on with these prices, some of the issues with it, the pricing, and of course a few interesting examples with the Unlimited Edition cards with the infamous roller marks for those of you who are not familiar. Let's have some fun. All right, everybody, welcome back here. So we're going to go over some things here. We're going to start with kind of probably the most simple ones. We're going to start with the, I think the revised dual lands. So here's the thing. Even in GP Vegas, there was a really big demand where you had some vendors going really aggressive trying to buy dual lands and push the prices up even higher. Recently, dual land prices have kind of flatlined, and there's a little bit of an argument that actually some of them have been retracing about 10% downwards, especially if they're not in gem mint condition. Played ones specifically definitely have not been appreciating, which is, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think we need this cool-off period. Now, when we get to the Unlimited Edition cards, you're not seeing as much of that type of price action, but Unlimited prices have moved up so much in the last 24 months compared to a year or 2 years ago. I'm not surprised to see kind of a cool-off. If you look online, again, like I said earlier, you're going to notice more Unlimited Edition cards have not been selling, and the inventory of these large stores has been building up. You can go to all the major stores. You can go to all the big dogs. You can go to the Card Kingdom, Star Cities, Cool Stuffs, Channel Fireballs. Look at them all. ABU Games, DA Card, they're all having larger than normal inventories. In my personal opinion, I got no evidence, I feel it's because the extremely large price increase in the last 6 months, the actual velocity of sales is actually cannibalizing itself and slowing down. In other words, people ain't paying the high prices. Now, we get over to the Unlimited Edition cards. I know everyone's just like, oh, look, a box. Personally, that gorgeous blue, that's what does it for me. By far, just, oh my God. Look at that coloring. So I wanted to talk about these real quick. I took these out of the sleeve just so you guys can take a look here. So on the surface here, you're going to see these are really, really nice looking cards. They're not mint. They're not going to grade no 9 or 10 or anything. You definitely have play wear and damage and nicks on everything on the edges. But I want to just show you guys something. For those of you who are not familiar, are you guys familiar with roller lines? That is where on the back of the card, you see right where the gathering, right where that word is, you can see a line going left to right on the cards. Now, this particular seller pointed out to me, even like ABU Games does not actually downgrade for quality on like roller line type situations on the back of a Magic card. Because some people don't care. Some people don't even know. For example, this gentleman, I don't believe this guy really knew about that. Most people don't because they never really look at the cards. So the thing is, the reality of it is, actually this one has 2 roller lines. Can you guys see that? There you go. See, if you look at the right, look at the black border there, you can see 2 roller lines. So this kind of is a big deal because this pretty much in my eyes makes the card ungradable. I won't be able to get a really good grade with PSA or BGS because of the surface damage. They're going to beat the crap out of the grade for the surface on here because this one actually has a double roller line. I actually did not notice that before. Let me see the Chaos Orb. So I wanted to just point that out. I would assume the Chaos Orb is, yeah, very similar here. So as you can see, not only do we have normal wear and tear, this is probably going to be a nice moderate play condition, but you also have, look at that top roller line, very, very deep on the right side. And the bottom roller line, same thing. You can see those lines, that surface damage. So that's something that a lot of people really miss and aren't really familiar with on Unlimited Edition cards. And that really does affect value. Unfortunately, I stand by it does affect it. Some people argue otherwise, but to me, if it affects the grade, if you try to get it slabbed, to me, it affects the value. All right, so some other little things. This was probably the most exciting part of this collection I wanted to bring in. No, not the Serendib. You know Rudy's obsessed with Serendibs. Honestly, it was the drop, because Drop a Honey is one of those cards that I'm actually very low on. I told everybody over and over, I missed out on the boat. I only have a couple of these, less than 10. I know everyone's like, oh, wow, you spoiled it. Yeah, I know. I don't have a lot of these. This is probably one of my weakest cards. And that's because I just missed it when it was $50, and now it's like $500. Even the buy list is like $300, $400, $500 range. The old Dejin, same thing, If Biffs, Mountains, Abulet. Again, still not really a big fan of this card. I still think it's going to be reprinted. Different card frame, different art. Won't really affect the value of the original, but again, I'm not a huge fan. There's been a lot of arguments and a lot of comments about Shahrazad. Alright, so Shahrazad is, I just been obsessed with the card for many, many years. Even about 6 months to a year ago, I made a video where I was taping them to my face because I just love the artwork and the symbolism, because there's no other card in the history of Magic the Gathering that even comes close to the mechanic or the feel of this card. And it's so cheap, 2 white. Good lord. If it was an instant, it would just be even more ridiculous. But hey, sorcery for a 2-drop. It's ridiculous. And again, there's nothing like it in Magic's history. There's been a lot of hearsay rumors about this card should be priced between 1 and 2,000, similar to, Mr. Dejin, big boy over here, or similar to a Bizarre price or something. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I don't really see a path for it to get that high. I was buying most of mine when they were about 1 to 150, and then I bought the remainder around 200, I think, and now I just acquire them randomly throughout collections. I don't really go out of my way to buy these since I already have a lot. Again, my personal reason was just simply the artwork. Everybody has their own reason, but that's just me. Alright, so that's really about it with the Arabian Nights. You guys know how I feel about Bizarre Baghdad, is what it is. Serendibs, Djinns, and Afrits. You guys know I love Djinns and Afrits. Same thing with coin flip type of Afrits. Cabal Ghoul, I always thought that was way underpriced. Now, getting over to the antiquities part of this collection, the strip mine conversation is always another one of those arguing things. A lot of investors and speculators have really been trying to buy up strip mines. Specifically, there's like one version right here, the little tower one that's worth like an extra $20 or something compared to the no tower. I'll be honest with everybody. I think the cards are cool. I love them. But, I don't see... I understand the rarity difference is slightly different on, wasn't this one like a U2? This was a U3 on the print sheet, I think. So I think there was a little bit different. I think the most common one is the... Is it like this one or something? I think it's one of these, the most common ones. I think it was no sky, no tower, I think. I can't remember. Anyways, just be real careful buying these type of cards when you start paying $50 to $100 plus, because I just don't see much more room for these to grow. Now, Transmutant Power. I've been talking about these on and off for quite a bit of time. I don't really have much more to add to this particular video, except the fact that a lot of people online have tried to corner the market and buy into these cards. The problem is, these are not rares. Technically, these are uncommons. I think they're U3s on the print sheets. These are not U2s like a Workshop is or something. I think even Gates' New Phyrexia is a U3. I think like Hercule's Recall is actually like a U2. So I think even the Archaeologist is a U2 and the Coffin's a U2. I mean, those are more rare. And I think that's really the biggest issue. I think if these were actually U2s versus U3 in the print sheet, I actually think these would already be $500 cards. But the fact there's just a higher supply out there, and I know people are going to argue with me on this, and the comment section is going to hate me, but I don't feel the demand is just super extreme. I don't know why. They're very iconic for artifacts, but, whatever. Basalt Monolith Power Artifact, anybody? Anyways, so I want to comment on that. Same thing with the factories. This particular collection, remember, we don't have any of the winter factories here, and those are the very sought-after ones. These are the cheaper versions. Last but not least, I want to zip over to the Legends over here. We got 3 of the 4 Black Horsemen from the Legends set. Absolutely amazing cards, fantastic stuff. Oh, sorry, guys, I'm hitting Pokemon stuff over here. Sorry, I got crap everywhere. Sorry. These cards are all... I know they're not there right now in the value. These are usually actually on auction now. They're selling between $400 and $600 each. I still think they should be over $1,000 a piece. All Hallows Eve, which is not included in this collection, in my opinion, is probably the cheapest of the batch of 4. And I think that one should probably be $500, and these should be $1,000. Recently, there was a spike on these 3 cards, like Chains, Abyss, and the Void. There was a spike and a push, an attempt. I don't know if it was a store, an investor, or whoever did it. Creepy Rudy Part 2, Junior the 3rd. I don't know who... there was a group of people that tried to push these over 1,000. It did not stick, and they've retraced quite a bit, so I wanted to kind of state that on there. Same thing with Hercules. Remember, this was... I think this is even the 4th edition or Chronicles. There's white borders and reprints of this. It's not even reserve list, I don't think. That's about it. Last thing in this collection, we just had a bunch of bulk revised cards, and we've got some low-tier, kind of lower-end things included in this collection. I know people are like, oh, only Rudy would call that low-tier. But, I mean, we've got some lower-end cards included in this. Again, really cool cards and all that, but just nothing super high-end. Bunch of couple dollar cards here and there. That's about it. These are all revised cards. Lastly, I guess we can comment real quick on the collector's edition. This is almost a factory seal collector's edition here. I mean, well, technically it is. It's pretty nice on the seal on most sides. This one does have, I don't know if it was shipped this way in damage and shipping, or if it was like that all along, but this one does have a small tear on one side here, so I want to be real careful not to make that tear worse. Although in reality, it probably doesn't matter, because again, the decks on the inside are inner sealed also, so there's like a double layer seal. And there's really not much of a price difference, honestly. As long as the cards are sealed. People just care about the seal because of the condition. These stupid corners are so pointy, they get damaged so easily. So, that's all I have. Remember, everybody, thanks for watching. I appreciate all the support of all my patrons. Hope you guys are enjoying everything, and hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. Rudy with Alpha Investments, and remember, everything you see in this video is not for sale. All reserve cards are for me and for my personal obsessive-compulsive nature. I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you guys are having a great day. And remember, if you have a collection to sell, AlphainvestmentsLLC at gmail.com. Send me some pictures. Tell me what you got. Tell me how much you want. Let's see if we can do some business. Other than that, remember, everybody, you only live once. Make sure you're doing something you enjoy. All right, giggity.